As we had discussed in committee stage, this relates to a very, very small number of people who may have purchased an electric vehicle in the last year, and the case been made that they weren't given that we have to give a consistent signals and not have a tax system that kind of steers people towards a certain action and then changes the ground from underneath them. And while that applies here, in this case, to a very small number of people, it's a principle that I think is worth upholding. And I've often indeed heard my finance officials, when you're coming with various different tax or other proposals, kind of argue with themselves in terms of the need for a tax system to be consistent, predictable, not to give people a kind of steer in a certain direction and then change the rules. And it wasn't that it was precise, but there was clear statements by the relevant ministers in advertising and other materials from government that there was an intention to be this kind of 3-year period where there would be an exemption in the benefit in kind provisions for a certain type of electric vehicles. If I'm to understand it correctly, and I'm reading the Minister's amendments, I think he maybe accepted at committee stage that there was an argument. He wanted time to consider it, and if I'm reading it correctly, I think he's pretty much gone a long part of the way in terms of recognise that we do want to have that consistent approach. As I see it, the only difference maybe is that it would be a 2-year continuing exemption rather than 3. I presume the Minister would argue that because people are trying to sell a vehicle on, but I very much welcome his acceptance of that point, and I think while it's a very small number and it's not but at the same time for those people, there's a basic principle that the state acts in a predictable and in a kind of a consistent manner, and given that the Minister's amendments seem to bring us in that direction, well, I very much welcome them and welcome that he has, unless I missed something, he's willing to make such a provision. It's 2 years rather than 3, but I think it is a significant improvement for those individuals.